Before we begin today's meeting, a notice was published in the Pantograph, posted online and at the entrances of this building, indicating the intent of McLean County Board to conduct a public hearing with regard to the proposed property tax increase for McLean County. I hereby declare the public hearing open. We have 3 individuals interested to be heard in respect to the proposed property tax levy increase. You will have 5 minutes to present to the board, and I would like to invite Ms. Bays to come forward, and you can go to the podium.
Good evening, Board. I just come across this last week, and it was very shocking and surprising to me. So I was just curious as to why this raise and where the funds were going to be going and why we needed to increase our property taxes. Do you get to answer?
This is a public hearing. It is not an opportunity for discussion between board members and constituents at this point.
Okay. So this evening they'll be discussing as to why, or?
You are welcome to call administration tomorrow, and they would be happy to review that information with you.
Who would I be talking to?
Most likely either Ms. Dreyer or Ms. Taylor.
Okay.
Ms. Dreyer is over there. Ms. Taylor is here.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Wheeler. It might be Waylon. I'm sorry.
This isn't Mr. Wheeler here. Hey, how are you? I'm confused, honestly. Now, I spent 5 years in the assessor's office. I've taken every real estate course there is. I learned under the tutelage of Mike Sweeney for about 15 years, so I'm still confused. When I look at this notice and it says an 11% increase in the taxes, doesn't that mean that my taxes are going to go up 11%? And I am really put off that nobody here seems to be answering that question. Let me back up. I called the assessor's office, the supervisor of assessments the other day, and asked him to explain it to me. You know what I got? I got an email from his assistant. No mention. I said, what about the meeting? What's it going to be discussed at the meeting? She said, and I quote, what meeting? There's no meeting. She says, I can't find anywhere where there's a meeting. And I said, it's in the paper. Well, you'll have to prove that. Which I did, of course, by sending her an email with a picture of it. So there's where we're at. I want to know, I'm not arguing about where you spend the money. I know it's going to get spent somewhere. If it goes up 11%, why can't you lower the tax rate a little bit to offset that huge EAV? You know, you could do that and still come out with some money. Now, the other thing is this only talking about the taxing body, the county of McLean? It's not talking about total taxes, right? Okay, so you know what's going to happen with the others. The county of McLean is only number 2 or number 3 in taxing body money, okay? The schools, of course, are number 1, no question. So if you're going to go up $100 on my house, that means the schools are going to go up $500 because they're getting 5 times as much as the county is. So how can you justify that? Am I not saying that right? Okay, so you know, I'm not going to get any answers, I take it. So I know what's going on, but there's not going to be any answers. I tell you, I'm very disappointed, to be honest with you, that nobody here is willing to discuss it and say, not what you're going to do with it, but why. Just because the EAV shot through the roof doesn't mean you have to spend it. Correct? Well, thank you. I guess talking about it ain't going to do much good.
I believe Ms. Fish.
Good evening. My name is Serena Fish, and I am the administrative head of West Side Neighbors, also a member of Miller Park Neighbors. I'm on PSCRB board and do other things in the city. I had the same experience, called to get information. Nobody knows nothing. And you put the ad in the paper in the sports section, just FYI, which probably, I don't know how percent, nobody reads it or gets the pantograph. So that was kind of like a waste of time and trouble. A lot of people in my area can't afford another tax increase, period. I don't care what it's for. I don't care where you got to cut someplace else. Last night, or the night, yeah, I went to, or the night before, I went to the presentation of the Bloomington new streetscape program. Again, 5, 6 blocks downtown, 2 blocks over, forget it. West Side, coming into town, Market, 51, forget it. So to me, I asked representatives at each one of the presentations. There's no ADA represented. Well, it's law, it's going to be there when we get done. Okay, so there's another 2 to 4 parking spaces in every single block that's ADA, and it's not going to be there. So that's going to make the parking even worse. All I'm saying is I would like there's no packets available for anyone to review. Going through your office didn't work. Same thing. What meeting? Okay. I would like a packet of what you're reviewing tonight, which I would assume has all of the information in it with why you want it and what you want to do with it. Thank you very much for your time.
Member Erickson?
Thank you, Chairperson Metzger. It seems a shame they're not getting their questions answered. Is there any way that we can suspend the rules or do anything to answer those questions that are being asked? I'm asking, I don't know what the protocol is here. I don't know if I can ask legal because I don't know if I have the authority to ask a legal question at this point in the proceedings. But I'm just trying to find out if we can get an answer for these people. They seem to be very concerned about it, and it'd be nice to give them an answer. I don't know what the rule is.
I think the answer
I don't know.
that we provided to Ms. Bays would apply to the other 2 individuals, Mr. Whalen and Ms. Fish, that we would be more than happy to have a conversation with them. They contact the administrator's office and request that information, and we would be happy to schedule a meeting or have a conversation over the phone.
Can we vote to suspend the rules and have a discussion about it? I mean, I'm not saying that's what we should do, but it just seems these are relevant questions. I don't know what the protocol is. I'm sorry. I read the rules a lot, but I don't know them by heart.
If I may, Chair Metzger,
Yes.
I'm not sure that there's a specific county board rule that prohibits a response. It's just that there is no requirement to provide a response. It is a public hearing, and if anyone would like to provide a response, there's no prohibition against it. If the board would like to suspend a rule, it may.
Member Went.
Yeah, what's happened, so everybody understands, we got a multiplier from the state. And I can tell you,
I think let's make a determination whether, or what direction we're going to go before we start an explanation. I think Vice Chair
I was just going to
Johnston,
explain why the taxes are going to go up.
let's, just a moment, okay? Please, Vice Chair Johnston.
Thank you, Chair Metzger.
What am I talking about?
The question that I had was, I know we've opened it maybe to possibly having a discussion, but at this point, could administration at least direct people on where to find the information? We've been discussing it in committees, and there are links online to be able to access the information that they're looking for. Can we have those, can we at least have that out there as a response?
Ms. Taylor, do you have?
The budget book is online on our website. We also have on our YouTube channel, McLean Coil, COIL, on the YouTube channel. There are recordings of all of the committee discussions that occurred for all of the different departments through their oversight committees. That would explain what the funds are being used for. That was one of the questions that was posed. It will also explain where the taxes are coming from in our finance committee. Other questions, if you have specific questions about the tax rate itself or any other specific questions, I encourage you to call administration. Those can be very complicated conversations, and I'm not sure that a succinct or quick answer could be provided at this time.
Member Wendt.
Yeah, the explanation is the state put a multiplier in throughout the county. It averaged about 11%. In the Bloomington Township, it was 13%. What we did is we kept our tax rate the same. However, because of the multiplier, everybody's taxes are going to go up substantially for the county. For instance, the county's share is going to be 13% higher this year than what it was last year. What we should have done, we should have lowered the tax rate so that our taxes weren't going to increase. Now, this happened throughout the county. I happen to know, like Bloomington Township, it was 13%. So all of my taxes are going to go up 13% without anybody doing anything. And I was very surprised when I saw that we levied at the rate that would come to our exact last year's tax rate, so we could say, hey, we didn't raise the rate, but because of the multiplier, we're getting an automatic raise, a huge automatic raise in our budget. And if you really look at our budget, take away the money we got from the federal government and rework those figures, our budget is up substantially this year over last year. And I do think that we should look at the fact that our levy has caused, yes, we've kept our rate the same, but we're automatically getting a 13% increase like in Bloomington Township, an average throughout the country. I never was able to get the city of Bloomington. They weren't done, but it averaged about 11%. I've got a copy of every township and what their multiplier was. And this was the state came in and said that we were underassessed in our different townships. And so they increased the value, the market value of all our property. And they could be right. I don't know. I haven't sold mine yet. So, and I won't know until I sell it. That's the explanation.
Thank you. Any other comments from the board? Ms. Taylor, did anyone send any comments into the county electronically or written?
No, Chair Metzger.
This concludes the public hearing regarding the proposed property tax increase for McLean County for 2024. We will now begin the meeting. We have call to order. I would like to hand that over to our county clerk.
You didn't do the Pledge of Allegiance.
I have that second.
I have it fifth. Okay, roll call. Lindsay Bloomfield. Leah Klein.
Present.
Chuck Erickson.
Present.
William John Friedrich.
Present.
Eric Hansen.
Present.
Elizabeth Johnston. Val Lehman.
Present.
Adam Reeves.
Present.
Jim Rogal. Natalie Roseman Mendoza.
Present.
Susan Schaefer.
Here.
James Holner.
Here.
Jeff Tompkins.
Here.
George Wendt.
Present.
Crystal Abel.
Here.
Jack Abraham.
Here.
Corey Byrne.
Present.
Beverly Bell.
Present.
Catherine Metzger.
Present. We have 19 members present. We can conduct business. We have a quorum. Our next will be a invocation by Catherine Metzger. Lord, we thank you for the goodness of our people, particularly those who are serving our county, and for the spirit of justice that fills our nation. We thank you for the beauty, fullness, and bounty of the land and the challenge of our cities. We thank you for our work and the rest for one another and for the places that we lay our heads. We thank the Lord for all the prayers that we have spoken and those that we keep in our hearts. Today, we especially pray for the suffering souls of the Middle East. Accept our thanksgiving for this beautiful day, and we pray and give thanks to you. Amen. We now have the Pledge of Allegiance. We're moving on to appearances by the members of the public and county employees in reference to an agenda item, and we have one individual, Mr. Matthews. You will have 3 minutes.
Good evening. My name is Ben Matthews. I was born and raised in McLean County. I now live and work here, representing nearly 2,000 educators who work in our District 87 and Unit 5 schools. As a resident of District 5, I've paid special attention to the vacancy created by the resignation of John McIntyre, and I've been disappointed but not surprised by what I've observed. On this evening's agenda is the filling of the District 5 vacancy. The process is straightforward. The chair will recommend an appointment to fill the vacancy subject to the board's approval. 4 candidates applied. 2 of them should cause all of us concern. David Paul Blumenshine spearheaded a Stop the Steal trip to Washington, D.C. on January 6, 2021, leading a bus full of our neighbors to the nation's capital in support of the former president's claim the election had been stolen from him. Blumenshine has not apologized for his participation, nor acknowledged the reality of what occurred that day, and he continues to spout various spurious claims on the conservative radio station which sponsored the trip. Another applicant, Chad Burke, said the comments and conspiracy theories that he shared in a recent interview with that same radio station were based on him, quote, going off of what was said on the radio, and when you hear what is on the radio, you believe what's on the radio, end quote. Mr. Burke made it clear he believes January 6th was not an insurrection, not even a riot, but, quote, just an event staged by the government, and he was glad that Blumenshine led a trip to go support the former president in his false claims of election fraud. These are not the people we need in positions of leadership, power, or influence. And regardless of who is recommended tonight by the Republican chair on the board, we should be clear this is not the fringe of the Republican Party. Mr. Blumenshine is in a leadership position with the party, and that radio station is a significant part of the party's work. As a Democrat, I want to see Democrats elected because their values align most closely with mine. But as a resident, I want to be represented by my elected officials. I want them to listen, engage, consider various views, and to take seriously their responsibility of representing their constituents, all of their constituents, regardless of party affiliation. To the chair of the board, please recommend someone who can and will carry out that responsibility with integrity. To the Republicans on the board, we see you. We all see you. You can stop performing for your crowd, for clicks and cheers, and start representing all of your constituents. We understand your once solid grasp on power is fading, but your job here is not to grab for more power, but to govern. And to the Democrats on the board, I hope the events of the past month have once and for all demonstrated that doing the right thing in hopes that your colleagues across the aisle will follow suit is a fruitless endeavor. Don't do the right thing hoping Republicans will respond in kind. Do the right thing because it's the right thing, and then be prepared for the other party to do whatever they can to hold on to whatever power they have left. Thank you.
Moving on to the consent agenda. May I have a motion to accept the consent agenda? I have a motion by Crystal, by Member Abel, and we have a second by Chair Lehman. We have Member Schaefer.
Yes, I would like to pull item 7E2C. Thank you.
And that will go to the Finance Committee, correct? Very good, thank you. So we have another, and then Member Chairman.
Yeah, I mean, that's the point where the proceeding where you raise your hand to pull something off the consent agenda. I would pull item 7E2D off the consent agenda.
$72B, D, thank you. All right, we have two items that are pulled from the consent agenda. All others are remaining. So all in favor of accepting the consent agenda as amended, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. That also includes the approval of bills, and we did not have any that required a 2/3 vote. So we will move on to standing committees. Oh, I'm so sorry. We have one more. We have 7G, and that is approval of a resolution of congratulations and commendations. And our Vice Chair, Elizabeth Johnston, will be taking that.
Okay, thank you, Chair Metzger. And I'd like to invite John to come up here. So this proclamation is, I'm glad to include it as part of McLean County's rural broadband project that we have started in our efforts to ensure that no one is left behind. We do recognize after the study that there are about 6,800 premises in McLean County that are underserved as far as their broadband services. So this proclamation is the McLean County Board proclamation declaring October 2nd through 6th, 2023 as Digital Inclusion Week. Whereas the COVID-19 pandemic highlighted how the digital divide impacts McLean County residents, and whereas many McLean County communities lack access to reliable and affordable high-speed broadband connectivity, devices, or resources to meet their needs, nor adequate digital literacy skills due to the lack of infrastructure and the needed investment in delivering technology and technology-related services to specific areas or populations, or barriers derived from socioeconomic status, education, literacy, language, or disabilities. And whereas broadband services play an important role in civic and cultural participation, lifelong learning, access to health care, and other essential services for McLean County residents. And whereas digital skills are a gateway for career advancement and crucial for economic growth, intergenerational wealth, wealth building, and prosperity. And whereas digital inclusion refers to activities to ensure that individuals and communities have access to reliable and affordable broadband internet service, internet-enabled devices, access to digital literacy training, quality technical support, and application and online content that enables and encourages self-sufficiency, participation, and collaboration. And whereas digital equity ensures all McLean County residents have the information technology capacity needed for full participation in our society, democracy, and economy. And whereas the McLean County is committed to closing the digital divide for its residents through digital inclusion efforts and by advancing digital equity goals. And whereas the observance of Digital Inclusion Week seeks to increase public knowledge of the importance of digital equity and prompt digital inclusion efforts across our county to expand broadband access, foster adoption, promote digital literacy, and increase digital safety and security awareness. And whereas Digital Inclusion Week, spearheaded by the National Digital Inclusion Alliance, is an annual week of awareness, recognition, and celebration, this year's theme is Building Connected Communities, signaling a time of action, and this reflects the vision for McLean County communities. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the McLean County Board hereby declares October 2nd, 2023 through October 6th, 2023, the Digital Inclusion Week, adopted by the McLean County Board this 12th day of October 2023. So I want to thank John Scott. He is here to receive this. He is part of our the AmeriCorps program that's working with us, and so thank you so much for what you're doing. Thank you. It makes a big difference, and I'm looking forward to the outcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, John. Our standing committees, we have Executive Committee 8A, 1A, and that is request approval of the chairman's recommendation of an appointment to County Board District Number 5, and the appointment is Randall Knapp. May I have a motion? We have a motion by Member Wendt, a second by Member Schaefer. Any discussion? Member Byrne.
Thank you, Chair. I had the opportunity to listen to all 4 candidates, and I was impressed with the 2 serious candidates that came forward. Mr. Knapp certainly presented himself well and came across to me as someone who cares deeply about his community. And as I said on social media at the time, I hope we see more of Mr. Knapp. The fact is that another candidate presented more relevant experience that exceeds that with which Mr. Knapp brings. While I believe that Mr. Knapp would be a good fit on the board and serve the residents of his district well, this is clearly another incident in which a highly qualified woman was passed over in favor of a man who was not as qualified. It is particularly baffling when considering that prior experience was used as justification for the undemocratic actions of the Republican members of this board just last month. Now, I'm not going to turn around and shout at audience members about experience, but I will call out those actions as disingenuous and hypocritical.
Any other members? Member or Vice Chair Johnston?
Thank you, Chair. You know, I was here for the meeting on Monday with the interviews. And I did get a call this afternoon from Ms. Woods to let me know kind of her experience and what's happened. She was eager and excited, and she did bring a lot of qualifications, but she also spoke in favor of Mr. Knapp and encouraged that we support the nomination. She understands the value of the board and the work that we have to do. And so I applaud her for that, her responsiveness, and I applaud her commitment to the community. So,
thank you. Other members? Seeing none. All in favor of Randall Knapp, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Appears Member Byrne and Member Bell. The motion passes. Mr. Knapp, would you join us up here, please? You will be sworn in. Okay.
Hi, Mr. Knapp. Would you raise your right hand, please? I state your name.
I, Rainey Knapp,
Having been appointed
having been appointed
to the office of McLean County Board District 5
to the McLean County District Board Number 5
by the McLean County Board,
by the McLean County Board,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I support the Constitution of the United States
that I support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois.
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
I shall faithfully discharge the duties
of the office
of the office
of McLean County Board District 5
of McLean County Board District 5
to the best of my
to
ability.
the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You can have a seat between Member Mendoza and Member Abraham. (8A1B), and that is request approval of a resolution approving the chairman's appointments to the standing committees, subcommittees, Liquor Control Commission to the McLean County Board. Those were distributed to you. Very minor changes. It just adds our new member to the to two committees. Everything else remains the same. So may I have a motion? We have a motion by Member Wendt and a second by Member Abel. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? The motion passes. We are going to move on to 8B, and that is Finance Committee, and we have Chairman Friedrich. And you have two items, I believe.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Looks like we pulled off a consent. Item 7E2, request approval of a reclassification of accounts payable specialist position, pages 38, and I so move.
And can we have a second? We have a second by Vice Chair Johnston. Any discussion? We have a discussion. Member Schaefer.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I pulled this off because I have some concerns about this request. Based on the things that we have done in the past year with the salary study, and then the process that we have for reclassifications, which is acknowledged in this memo, that has gone through the reclassification process for the budget 2024. So in 2023, we have had 7 requests outside of the budget process. And in 2024, the budget has 8 other reclassifications in there for employees. So, and then there are also some new positions that have been reclassed for 2024, but they're not current employees. So my concern here is that basically it's saying, I'd like to give my employees that are being reclassed beginning January 1st of 2024, their reclass early. So we have 8 others that have requested that across various departments that have not asked for that, and they're waiting till January 1st of 2024. And all of these employees obviously are doing the work of that reclass, and that's why they're being reclassed, right? So I'm very concerned about this because some of the things that we have done in 2023 that are outside the process, if you look at the state's attorney's office and the circuit clerk's office that had those recently, had those reclasses done. If you need that reclass done sooner, they should go outside the process. It should be put forward to the oversight committee, whatever oversight committee that would be, to have that done outside the process. And we all knew and all the employees knew that with the salary study, it was going to be phased in over 2 years and things like that. So I'm very concerned about next month that all these 8 additional ones that have been reclassed for 2024 are going to come to us and say, but we want to give our employees their reclass a month early. And then most of them can figure out how to make it budget neutral so that it's, not affecting our overall budget. But then you have the individuals that in our salary study that was phased in over 2 years. Well, yeah, but the salary study, we only did it over 2 years, but let's make it a little bit earlier, kind of thing. So I think that it's opening up a real big can of worms here, and not necessarily maybe good budget management if we do that kind of thing. So I'm just very concerned that this is opening the floodgates for something that it would be setting a precedent that I'm not sure that we really want to go there. So that's my concern on this. So I'm not going to support this particular item here. Thank you.
Any additional discussion? Member Klein?
This is really just a question to you, Member Schaefer. So are you suggesting abandoning the reclassification or simply abandoning the early onset of the classification?
The early onset, approving this particular item.
Member Friedrich?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, I've kind of got some concerns here too with this reclassification and bringing it forward. I guess I have some questions for administration, and that would be, has there been other departments that have been understaffed, such as the clerk's office? A couple months ago, we talked about the clerk's office and, God, can't think of the other ones. State's attorneys, right. What's the number, let's just take the clerk's office, that have been understaffed in the last year? With Don's department. I
Off the
hate to
top-
put you off
yeah.
on the spot, but
Off the top of my head, I would not be able to give you the number of employees that they've been understaffed, but I do know at one time, when we looked at reclassifying those positions early, it was, I believe, about 25%, 20 to 25% down in their total for their department.
okay. Is the treasurer's office currently understaffed? As you will, as.
I believe they are fully staffed at this time.
Okay, yes. So I agree with my colleagues, Schaefer, that I think this is opening up a Pandora box. I hate saying no to the treasurer's office on some of these things. You can justify any decisions that you make, and her memorandum does spell it out clearly, but I think moving forward, next month, we could have 8 of these, or not. I don't know. My crystal ball doesn't work. So I also will be opposed to this request. Thank you.
Any other comments? Member Tompkins?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Am I to understand correctly that if we oppose this immediate reclassification, it will in fact take place at a later time? This is just early.
The reclassification is part of our proposed budget and would take effect on January 1, outside of this action item.
No other comments? Seeing none, all in favor of, I guess that is 8B1A, say aye. Opposed? No. I think we need a roll call.
Okay, a yes is for the immediate reclass, is that correct?
Chairman will not vote
Is that
unless it's a
correct?
tie.
A yes is for the reclass
Correct.
immediately, okay. Lindsay,
Sorry, just for clarification. Yes is to keep this, no is to get rid of this?
Correct. For this time, of course, in January, the reclassification will take place without any action from this board.
So the motion is to approve
the
The
immediate.
reclassification
reclassification in
currently.
October.
Correct.
Thank you.
Lindsay Bloomfield? Leah Klein?
Yes.
Chuck Erickson?
No.
William John Friedrich? No. Eric Hansen?
Yes.
Elizabeth Johnston?
Yes.
Val Lehman?
No.
Adam Reeves?
No.
Jim Rogal?
Yes.
Natalie Roseman Mendoza?
Yes?
Pardon me?
Yes.
Yes. Susan Schaefer?
No.
James Solner? Yes. I'm sorry? Yes. Thank you. Jeff Tompkins?
No.
George Wendt? No. Crystal Abel?
No.
Jack Abraham?
Yes.
Corey Byrne?
Yes.
Beverly Bell?
Yes.
And the chair is not voting, is that correct?
Mr. Knapp?
The new person, Mr. Knapp. No. Okay, thank you, I'm sorry about that. Don't have you on my list yet, so that's a no. Okay.
Is that what you had? We have 9 yeses and 10 nos. The motion does not pass, so we will move on.
Okay, on to item 7E2D, request approval of a resolution establishing rates for the health and life insurance coverage for fiscal year 2024, pages 39 through 42, and I so move.
May I have a second? We have a second by member Roseman Mendoza. Discussion? Yes, member Erickson.
Thank you, Chairperson Metzger. I'm going to be voting no, but my reason is I have some unresolved questions about it that I've been working through with the county administrator, and I'm still trying to get those questions resolved in my mind. So that's the reason for my no vote.
And Vice Chair Johnston?
So instead of a no vote, would it be better to table so you can get more information?
I was under the impression by the county administrator that this may have needed to be passed tonight. I don't know.
Asked and answered, thank you.
You know, I mean, I don't know if that's the answer or not, but
You're correct, Chuck. Finance has to have this approved this month.
There's
That is
an open
correct.
enrollment period that needs to occur for our employees, and it would put us in a difficult position to be able to meet the needs of all of our employees if we table.
So just point of clarification, this could put care of our employees at risk if we don't pass this?
If you don't pass it at all, yes, this would
Okay.
leave our employees without health insurance.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
I'm going to pass on this because I have some questions about the rates and the coverage that I haven't been able to resolve. So I am going to pass on it for now.
Any others? All right, we will vote. All in favor of 8B 1B, say aye. Opposed? 2 opposed, Member Wendt, Member Erickson. Motion passes. Floor is yours again, Chair Friedrich.
We have nothing else to present. Our general report can be found in the unapproved minutes, pages 17 through 24, and I'd be happy to answer any other questions. Thank you. Yield back.
8C, Chair Ms. Schaefer.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. The Health Committee has one item for action tonight. 8C1A is request approval of an emergency appropriation ordinance amending the McLean County fiscal year 2023 combined annual appropriation and budget ordinance for Fund 112, and I so move.
May I have a second? We have a second by Member Byrne. Discussion? Seeing no discussion, all in favor of 8C1A, say aye. Opposed? The motion passes. Chair Schaefer.
Thank you. Our general report can be found in the unapproved minutes packets.
Moving to 8D, the Justice Committee, and that is Chairman Erickson.
Thank you, Chairperson Metzger. The Justice Committee brings 3 items for action. The first item is item 8D1A, request approval of an intergovernmental agreement between the City of Bloomington and the County of McLean regulating the use by the County of McLean of the police shooting range facility of the City of Bloomington, and I so move.
May I have a second? We have a second by Member Tompkins. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, all in favor of 8D1A, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes. Chair Erickson.
Thank you, Chairperson Metzger. The next item on the agenda is item 8D1B, request approval of a grant agreement between the State of Illinois, Illinois Emergency Management Agency, and Office of Homeland Security in County of McLean, and I so move.
May I have a second? We have a second by Member Bell. Discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of 8D1B, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Chairman Erickson.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is item 8D1C, request approval of an emergency appropriation ordinance amending the McLean County fiscal year 2023 combined annual appropriation and budget ordinance for CAC Fund 0129, and I so move.
And I need a second. We have a second by Member Bell. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Up for 8D1C. Opposed? Motion passes. Chairman Erickson.
Thank you. Chairperson Metzger, the Justice Committee has no other items for action. Our general report can be found in the unapproved minutes. Thank you.
Moving on to the Property Committee, 8E, Chair Lehman.
Thank you very much, Chair Metzger. The Property Committee has no items to be presented for action this evening. Our general report can be found in the unapproved minutes packet, pages number 29 to 32.
Thank you, Chair Lehman. We move to 8F, and that's Land Use and Development Committee, and that's Chair Klein.
Thank you, Chairwoman. The Land Use and Development Committee doesn't have any items for action or information this evening, but our minutes can be found in the general report, pages 6 to 7, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Chair Klein. Oh, you would like to, Vice Chair Johnston has a comment? Or
Well, I would. We've got Chair Klein with Land Use. If you wanted to take an opportunity, I would love to have an update on what's happening with the CO2. There have been changes, I know. And I think this would be an opportunity to talk a little bit and remind people about the public hearing, or about the hearing that will be at the ZBA.
Of course. So at the moment, the Land Use and Development Committee has approved a text amendment regulating the construction of sequestration wells in our county. There was a public hearing for ZBA last week, space-time continuum, but the room wasn't sufficient because this room wasn't big and it wasn't available yet. So that has been rescheduled for 7 p.m. on the 24th of October in this space. In the meantime, although certainly that hearing is about a text amendment about wells, the Navigator project has been pulled from the Illinois Commerce Commission for the time being. So there are constantly changes every day. I'm certainly happy to answer questions as you go along. But if you see news reports, I'm happy to answer what I'm able, and same with Chair Metzger and Member Abel, who are on the work group together with us. But the 24th of October is the next hearing here.
Thank you very much for that update. We will now move to 8G, Transportation Committee, and that's Chairman Rogel.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Transportation Committee has no items to present for action tonight, and our general report can be found on pages 2 through 5 of the unapproved minutes. I can answer any questions if anyone has any.
Thank you, Chair Rogel. We're moving to 8H, and that's County Administrator Ms. Taylor. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Chair Metzger. I have nothing to present this evening.
That moves us to 9, and that's appearances of members of the public and county employees in reference to an item not on the agenda. We have one person that requested to speak, and it's Natalie Wayland. Ms. Wayland? You will have 3 minutes.
Thank you, everyone, and good evening. My name is Natalie Whalen, and I run the Lost and Found Pets program, if you will, for McLean County, which consists of a Facebook page and a regular web page, which hopes to reunite lost pets. Somebody finds a dog, somebody lost a dog, and we match them up together. We started this program 9 years ago, and it's been very, very successful. However, we've run into one big snag, and this is my attempt at fixing it, is to maybe get you all involved and we can do something. So it used to be, many, many years ago, if you lost a dog, your beloved family pet, you knew that if somebody found it, they were going to take it to McLean County Animal Control. That was just what we did for as long as I've lived here, which is forever. So you lose your dog, you go to McLean County Animal Control. Somebody turned it in, they pay their fee, they take their dog, everybody's happy, they got their dog back, you know, that's the way the system used to work, doesn't anymore. What's happening now is, and I think it's because of the way the law is written, that if somebody finds a dog or a pet, doesn't have to be a dog, they need to turn it into a licensed facility, and I'll have to check again on how it's worded, but it's very loose. There's no firm meaning on where that animal's supposed to go. So what we have here is all these new rescue groups popping up all over McLean County, and they're saying, hey, we're licensed, we can take the stray, and we can do a 7-day hold. Well, that's not the way the law, that's not why the law was written, because now you've got this little old lady over here who lost her dog, and she has her choice between 10, 12 animal shelters that she's supposed to go and try to find her dog, and it doesn't happen. It's a flaw in the system. There should be one place where if you lose an animal, you go to look. You should not make somebody travel to 10 different locations hoping to find their dog. And I know this is new because of the internet and everything else, all these new shelters have popped up, but we need to have it go back to making a law where if you find an animal, it goes to McLean County Animal Control. Another thing that I'd like to bring up that we see happening is somebody says, well, I found the dog, and we tell them, as an admin of the page, I tell them, you have to take the dog to Animal Control. And they say, no, I don't. What do you mean? I say, well, it's the law. We kind of fudge a little bit. You have to take it there. Well, show me where it says I have to do that. Well, our whole team spent days trying to find someplace in the law where we could get a firm grip and say, you can't just keep that dog. You have to take it to animal control. They said, no, we don't. We have to hold it for 7 days, and if we find the owner, fine, we'll give it back. Oops, I'm done. Y'all can see the problem? Animals that are found, there has to be a law that they go to animal control or someplace else. Don't care where, as long as it's one place. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Whalen. We have, moving to 10, other business and communications. There anything else? I believe we've got 2. We have Chair Friedrich first.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I just wanted to reach out to 2 people on my committee, Member Erickson for, at the very, very last moment, taking control of the meeting last month. Thank you. Kind of had a crisis on our hand out in the farm and putting Chairman Metzger up there. We had a forum and conducted meetings fine. Also, my vice chair, Val Lehman, had many great questions that we talked beforehand, and this is budget month, and I'm very grateful for her questions, and I really think she's missed her calling and should have become a CPA because of her scrutiny of the budget very thoroughly. She takes her role serious. Thank you.
And Chair Schaefer.
Thank you. This is my last time I'm going to plug this because I've done this at every meeting. Next Thursday is our 6th Behavioral Health Community Forum. It'll be held at ISU. It begins, I think there's maybe a coffee at 7:30, and then the keynote is at 8 o'clock. And then it runs all day. There's multiple tracks on multiple different topics, something for everyone in the community. It's free. The deadline for the free lunch has passed, although you still can get free parking, which those of us who know anything about ISU, that's a challenge. But anyway, it'll be a full day. If you are a clinician, a teacher or educator, or an attorney, you can get CEs, CEUs, CLEs, and you can sign up for those. I think the list of them is on the Carl Broman website because they're the ones that are doing most of that, the CE work, the accreditation work. So it'll be a really full day, and I hope to see everyone there because it's free and you can learn something. You don't have to stay for the whole day. You can come for just part of the day if that's all the time you have to see some of the sessions that we have. So I hope to see you all. Thank you.
I believe we have Chair Erickson.
Thank you. I just want to be clear that the rules on the Finance Committee, if the chairman can't make it, the vice chair is supposed to cover it, and the vice chair was unable to cover it. So the rules call for the most seasoned member to take it over. So I prefer seasoned as opposed to senior. So I did run that meeting, so just so you know.
We wanted to be sure to clarify that. Thank you. Any other communications? It looks like Member Tompkins.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I would like to thank Mr. Whalen, Ms. Bays, and Ms. Fish to bringing to my attention the 11% increase in our property taxes. And I would like to call on the chairman of the committees to please include some of us newer members in the actual formation of some of these policies. I feel that the committee system as a whole somewhat silos us in our ability to get information and to spread that information. And I would like to be more included on some of the policy making before this comes to be a surprise to the public and the board. Thank you very much.
Vice Chair Johnston.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Tompkins, for bringing that up. I did want to hearken back to the fact that we do discuss the budgets, we do discuss details in our committee meetings, and they are all online. Ms. Taylor also painstakingly describes at the beginning of the budget, so there's a link to our 500-page PDF budget. And how many pages is your introduction? 5, 7, 8 pages? Digging into the details of how and why and where the money is going before you kind of dig into all those very small numbers. But if you want a narrative, Ms. Taylor does an excellent job of presenting that to the public, so please reach out to administration and please take a time to read through that so you understand kind of where things are, if that helps. So, thank you.
That is, and thank you for that. That is a very good reminder. Ms. Taylor provided that information at the full board meeting last month, and that document can be found on the website for last county board meeting. And it is a very nice, concise document, so I would suggest that people pull that up, and additional questions, our county administration would be happy to address those. Any other business? Seeing no other business, believe we are adjourned.